Good afternoon. My name is Liam McMenemy, and I am the Customer Experience and Service Lead for our company, Whiskey Tango. Whiskey Tango is a travel service designed to improve the experience of regional air travel. So sit back, relax, with your seatbelt fastened and your tray tables up in their upright locked position, and enjoy our presentation. So the problem which Whiskey Tango is attempting to solve is a two-sided problem, matching pilots who are looking for flight hours, which can be extremely expensive, with travelers looking to book private travel to avoid all the pains of commercial airlines as well as charter airlines. So our solution creates a two-sided market solving pain points on both sides for the pilot and the passenger. It allows pilots to reduce the cost of building flight hours by splitting costs with the passengers, and it also allows the passengers to ask the access to qualified pilots that can satisfy a market need for regional travel. As you can see here from this chart that we created, you can see how Whiskey Tango solves both the pilot's problems and passengers' problems at the exact same time. For instance, for the pilot, it's extremely expensive for training costs and to get those flight hours in. And from the passenger's point of view, commercial and charter flights are extremely expensive. So Whiskey Tango allows shared flight costs between both the pilot and the passenger. Another example is that for the pilot, it's very difficult and expensive to acquire those flight hours, and it's hard to network with other pilots and passengers. While on the other side of things, passengers pay a lot of money for charter flights and suffer on commercial airlines. And also to travel by private flight is much less conventional, so it connects the two parties. So what's our solution? Whiskey Tango's solution is a smartphone application that's easy to use and allows pilots to post their availabilities to fly passengers, and also allows those passengers to easily search and request flights from the pilots. It begins with our search feature, where the passengers are able to search things and also sign up for things such as whether they're traveling for pleasure or business, adventure or luxury, if they're trying to leave soon or leave later, and also how the distance in flying and how many passengers they're going to be flying with. The next cool feature about Whiskey Tango's application is the review feature. So we would offer profiles on each individual pilot, and we would also allow the customer to see the plane that they're actually going to be flying on. This would allow security and safety and assurance for those passengers, so that way they can see how many flight hours the pilot that they're going to be flying with, as well as how much experience they have. And we would also offer reviews from previous passengers, so that way they can speak upon their experiences to ensure that customer satisfaction as well. And lastly, when that passenger is all set and ready to book their flight, they can do so right on that application. We would handle all transactions and route the money straight to the pilot to ensure the currency is getting there properly. We also offer assurance of safety by vetting the pilots and additional insurance to protect both the safety of the pilot and the passenger, as well as the airplane as well. Passengers can buy up to different levels of plane or pilot based on their preferences. So whether they're flying with themselves or a family or a group of people. So for instance, our lowest cost option would be like a small aircraft with one private pilot. But they can also book up to more traditional charter services as well, obviously with prices varying. So our competitors consist of commercial airlines, which would be our traditional competitor that we would expect to compete with on service, experience, and the passenger experience. But we'd also be competing with the traditional ground transportation, such as people driving their own cars or Uber or taxis, which is, yes, the lowest cost option, but also the most frustrating from the consumer's point of view, as you could also run into more problems. And the third is obviously the private charter airlines as well. However, those private charter airlines are much more expensive. So as you can see from our competition and value chart, you can see how Whiskey Tango offers some of the convenience and experience values of charter services, but it's at the cost of a commercial service. So as you can see from our competitive advantage chart, it all starts with the cost. So our competition, which is the first is a charter flight, which is high in cost. However, you get a better experience. And then with ground transportation is low cost, but it is usually a bad experience and takes a lot longer. Whiskey Tango's cost does not determine the experience, and it's all right in front of you on the application. There's that conveniency as well, is that Whiskey Tango conveniently matches both the pilots and the passengers, and it's quick and direct. The time to take to book a flight for the passenger is extremely easy, as well as could take up to only 5 minutes. And the experience works very well for both the passenger and pilot, and kind of avoids all that agonizing, expensive costs that both the pilot and the passenger are both going to experience. So here for you, we have created a chart which shows the states with the most passenger boardings at small airports around the United States. So our approach would be to geographically target building a presence in the states on the left, such as New York and Florida, those large states, in order to build an advantage over our competitors and to gain the largest market share that we possibly can. And it also ensures availability of pilots and passengers to maximize revenue in the early startup phase. So the first aspect of our business model is obviously significantly reducing training costs for our pilots, as our passengers, while flying with the pilots who are training, are also paying them. Our model also allows for a 50% markup on each transaction, and the reason being is that pilots actually cover 50% of the fee, as they're not allowed to actually profit from the flight while they're in training. Since our platform is just a connection point, we don't actually have any restrictions on that. Another cool feature about our business model is that the pilots are actually able to double their flight hours. For instance, a typical regional flight, for example, is from San Diego up to Palm Springs, which is a 1-hour flight. But since the pilot obviously has to fly back from Palm Springs down to San Diego, they actually get 2 hours of training round trip. As you can see here, our business model reduces the barrier to entry for pilots who are looking to earn their license. As you can see from the traditional model, it could cost up to $200,000 to earn a license. And 3 Whiskey Tango allows for pilots to offset those costs in a traditional model by greatly reducing their flight costs by sharing these costs with those paying passengers. So our target market is going to be young professionals. So we're going to utilize social media with compelling content to get that market share. But we're also going to use pilot groups to grow brand awareness. Because we offer not only a great value to passengers but to pilots as well, we can leverage our pilot community to share with their friends and colleagues. And because of our high profit margins, we can eventually run highly compelling discounts for around local events in regional towns with large airports, such as large golf courts, huge concert venues, etc., to also bring in more customers as well. So our team, Whiskey Tango, consists of 4 individuals. First is Seth Merritt, who's the founder of 3 Whiskey Tango, whose passion is making flying painless for all individuals. Second is Sierra Romine, who's our marketing and design guru, whose passion is getting, keeping, and growing our customer base. Third is Jeremy Hicks, who is our finance lead, and his passion is saving the pilots and the passengers their money. And thirdly is myself, who is their customer experience lead, and my passion is solving client pains, building, maintaining, and improving the customer experience. So in closing, I just wanted to focus and recap on 3 different items. First is our technology. Our technology is located in the functioning MVP, which is already built and is going to be deployed to the App Store. And it's going to be a cloud-based data structure, so that way everyone can use it and all of the data is going to be stored within the cloud. Secondly is our traction, which we've already created. We already have over 20 pilots signed and available to fly. We already have agreements with 4 different small airport locations, and we already have 30 booked flights with potential passengers as well as pilots. And lastly is Turbocharge, which is how we're going to turbocharge our work and get into the market. So we're looking for a lot of support to grow, such as capital and other resources, and we need businesses to help support our scale once we do start creating revenue. And we're looking for engaged partners who are looking to join our company, both pilots as well as from the business side of things. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and we look forward to flying with you in the near future. Thank you so much.